What's your name?
My name's Grahame.
And you are with Just Stop Oil.
I am a proud supporter of Just Stop Oil. I used to work over there in the Shell building. I used to work for Shell. Shell have completely failed us, haven't they? Obviously.
Absolutely.
And I bear my responsibility for that in my own way, although I did try to help. It makes no difference. Being in an oil company, you cannot make a difference. The machine is relentless. Now I'm part of Just Stop Oil. That's the right place to be.
So can you tell me the process? What happened? How did you become aware while you were at Shell that Shell was actually one of the major contributors to the crisis we're facing? How did you kind of become aware of that and make the choice to step out?
Okay, I won't go into a lot of detail about this because I want to talk about Just Stop Oil. I want to talk about the future and what we're going to do. But when I joined the company because it said it had plans to transition out of oil. And I spent half my career working in Shell on those issues. Nothing ever happened because the conventional business completely dominates. I was in research. Research is a tiny little bit of the business. You know, big budget because it's a big company. When we try to make things different, we absolutely fail. And I would say no one who thinks they can make a difference from the inside, it's not true. No point in joining an oil company. You will not make a difference. You know, the oil companies say we're the hapless victims of forces beyond our control. That is not true. The oil companies are constantly lobbying. That's why Shell Centre is next door to Parliament. That's why I'm part of Just Stop Oil, because now non-violent civil resistance is our best hope. That's why I'm here.
It's great to have you here as one of the many organizations who've joined us. So tell us why Just Stop Oil is part of the big one.
Okay, so Just Stop Oil has the same demand as I think probably everybody listening and everybody here has, which is no new oil and gas projects in the UK. But of course, that's a much bigger ask because that position comes from the International Energy Agency and it comes from all the climate scientists. 700 scientists signed a letter, didn't they, recently, demanding that of the government. No new oil and gas projects. Oil and gas is the main reason we're in this mess. That's roughly 3/4 of this is due to the oil and gas industry. We have to stop that. At the moment, oil and gas emissions are continuing to rise. They're not even going down. They are continuing to rise. Until they start to fall, we are not on a path for anything, even vaguely approaching a safe future. I mean, look what people are going to know this. You guys are going to know this out there. Sudan is in a war now. 2007, I remember a Guardian article, did Guardian article about it. Climate crisis in Sudan. That war is due to climate change. It's due to the loss of farmable lands. Back then, you had Muslims and Christians living in harmony together. Once you destroy the land, those groups started to become antagonistic towards one another, and that fomented war because of horrible people getting involved. That's what's going to happen if we don't address the climate crisis. We are going to see war. We are going to see the awful things happening. And in this country too, you mustn't for one moment think that what's happening in other parts of the world isn't going to happen here. Forest fires are already starting to happen here. Look, a couple of days ago, Barcelona, massive forest fires outside Barcelona. California is on fire all the time. If you're in Canada, 1 in 10 houses in Canada is uninsurable for flood. And all the forests in Canada, they are dying. The forests in Canada are dying because it's too warm in winter. So the beetles don't die and they continue to eat the trees through the winter season. That means those trees are dying, and that's going to happen here. As it gets hotter and hotter, our native species trees, they will die. We will get tropical diseases. We will have food shortages, as we're already seeing. In the south of England last year, 40 degrees C, 60 houses burnt down. A whole street of houses burnt down.
I actually heard during that time that the London Fire Brigade was the busiest that it had been since World War II bombings.
That's absolutely true. And the ambulances are what they call a black alert for all the emergencies they were having to deal with. The apple farmers in Kent, the apples actually cooked on the trees. And those farmers are going out of business. Just as the farmers up on the east side, up Norfolk way, that they are also going to go out of business because there isn't enough rain.
Absolutely. And that, you know, we could go on and on about the effects. But our interview is brief. So I'm going to ask you, what does Just Stop Oil think we should do?
I think it's very clear. We have to engage in non-violent civil resistance. And that non-violent civil resistance has to be absolutely focused on our key demand, which is no new oil and gas projects. If we can't do it, as the Secretary General said of the UN, if everybody waits for somebody else to do it, we all fail. We have to do it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for being part of this. Thank you for being part of the big one. And we look forward to seeing you on the streets.
It's my pleasure. Join us.
I'm going to pass over to Stephen now.